The men are in trouble, unfortunate to say.
Lucy, and he was just talking about how the government comes up with laws and regulations to police people in society, but the issues that they're dealing with are issues that began at home.
Hello guys, and welcome to another season and episode of the Just to Kick It Is a Blessing podcast. Welcome to the podcast where we teach, inspire, motivate, and educate through the art of storytelling. It feels so good to be back here. I know it's been a while since I last recorded, or I last sent you guys something, but hopefully there's some good news on this podcast that you guys are about to hear. So today is actually a very interesting podcast because I am no longer the host. I am the guest of the podcast today, and I will let my host introduce herself.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Tupac, and thank you for the invitation to host you. My name is Ciku Mutahi. I need to say a bit about myself.
Yes.
So I'm a student part-time. I'm also working, and I'm just here as Tupac said, the host. And I'm just here to dig a bit deeper into why he took the break and what it now means that we're back. So I hope you guys enjoy.
Thank you.
It's
your seat.
To start, I mean, not everybody who's watching this knows who you are. So let's just get a bit of information into who Tupac is. Why you're here.
You know, that's interesting because I was doing interviews the other day, and that's the first question we asked them, who are you?
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people really struggle to answer that question. For me, on the lighter side, I think I'm a son, a brother, still single and looking. But other, yeah, but other than that, I'm a founder, a podcast host, I'm an investor. But I think as of now, I'm enjoying running a project for a year, which I was fortunate enough to receive funding for. So I think that, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm also a Christian.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Can you get a bit more into what Just to Kick It Is a Blessing means? That's the title or your brand, might I say. It's on your shirt as well.
Yeah.
Shop the merch.
Yeah, coming soon.
But what does it mean? Where did it come from?
I think before I answer that, I'd like to ask you, what do you think it means? Because for me, I think I know what it means. And the other day I had a trial shoot with one of my friends, Jesse, and he reminded me of how far back the brand went. And he also reminded me about things I'd not thought about or had forgotten. But I'll let you start.
I think for me, when I have a bit of leakage.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But if I was just to see the words on a screen, I think it's just reminding myself, a reminder that just being here is a blessing. Not everybody is still with us. And so it's just a reminder to be grateful for the fact that I'm still living and breathing.
Yeah. So I'll tell you how Just to Kick It Is a Blessing started. Just to Kick It Is a Blessing is from an A$AP Rocky song. I think it should be Pesos. I'm not too sure which song it is, but he says, my presence is my present. Just to kick it is a blessing. And at that point, we really liked listening to A$AP Rocky. And I don't know how that phrase, not even the one for my presence is my present, because I had thought that would have stuck more with me. But I don't know, Just to Kick It is a blessing stuck. And Just to Kick It is a blessing is what we called now like our collective of people. So that time it used to be me, Jesse, Fahad, Shakib, my brothers, Josiah, and a couple other people. And now it became something we used to use. And then because we played football, it also made sense in a football way. You know, Just to kick it is a blessing. Yeah. And then as it grew, it now just became this thing. And I think based on also now other experiences that I went through, you know, losing a really good friend, also almost losing myself, it became the meaning of now just to kick it, you know, just to be alive, you know, just to experience life is a blessing. And one thing I'd like to also say is, as much as I might have been the one that put now Just to Kick It is a blessing out there, it's a community. And that's why I told you it started off as a collective of people. So Just to Kick It is a blessing. I want it to be a community of people who are like-minded, who appreciate life, and who inspire. So teach, inspire, motivate, and educate other people through life. And even as I sit here, there's so many other people along the way during the break who've been involved to now bring that back to life. If you can see from the logo, we rebranded, and now the logo has a heartbeat with a suicide sign and the heartbeat again, with the wording around it. So, and that's thanks to Zina, who we sat down trying to really create a logo that now pushes the meaning. And I guess as we talk about the relaunch of the podcast, you'll hear a lot of other names, and you'll see that it's not just Tupac, it's not just To Kick It is a blessing, it's a collective. And I believe that 1,000, 10,000 years from now, Just to Kick It is a blessing will still exist, and people will still have these meaningful conversations that teach, inspire, motivate, and educate, especially to young men.
Before we move on, can you just explain the sign? So you said the heartbeat.
It's a heartbeat, and then there's the semicolon, and then there's another heartbeat. So it's you're living, and then you go through a near-death experience, but you continue living. And that's the essence of life. Whether all of us will go through near-death experience, whether it's you who brings it upon yourself or whether it's the world. But like we said, the fact that you're living is a blessing.
Yeah.
And no matter how bad the day is, it's going to only get better. And that's what the sign also stands for. You're living, it might be bad, but it's going to get better.
Yeah. We'll keep going. I hear that. I think one thing is you said you started it because you lost a friend. And then you also started it because you lost yourself.
Yeah.
Really lost yourself. So why turn it into something for other people and not just go on your journey, like continue living by yourself? Why do you think it's necessary? Why was it necessary for you to bring in other people?
I think it's necessary because first of all, like I said, I think it's necessary to bring in other people because everyone in the team brings something, different. But even just to briefly talk about my story is, I feel like when I went through what I went through, there was no conversations like this that I could get back to or relate to and be like, yeah, I've seen this young man around. He's going through something similar. Yeah. But the thing was, a lot of people were actually going through similar things to what I was going through. It's just no one was sharing. And I feel like the fact that because as men, we don't get to talk about certain things, it's why, unfortunately, our suicide rates are extremely high, and losing a friend to that and almost losing myself as well to that. I was like, I don't want to be a statistic. I want to be part of the story that changes that statistic. And that's why we're here.
That's amazing. And I'd like to commend you for that.
Thank
Everybody
you.
carries the rest along.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. So let's go back to the podcast.
Yeah.
So Just to Kick It is a brand.
Yeah.
It's not just the podcast.
Yeah.
Maybe tell us, is it just merch? What is the brand about?
I think, like you've seen, like from the story I've shared with you, the brand or just the word has grown over time. When we started it, listening to A$AP Rocky, we didn't think it would be anything. We didn't think it would be much, But look at us. We're here today doing a podcast. We want to do maybe merchandise. We want to do maybe community events, just bring like-minded people who don't just want to change themselves, but also want to change the world. Because I think the world, it needs people. It needs people to motivate and to inspire.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it hurts me to say that some people are really in a dark place. But I think if we come together as a community, we can be able to pull them out of such places. And I just want to show you the power of community. Just look at recently what has happened in our country, Kenya. Yeah. The Gen Zs and the young people, they've all come together without even a leader or anything, just as a community, and have changed the history of this country forever. And that's what I think Just a Kick It is a Blessing can be. Something that changes how people look and feel about themselves forever, not just by Tupac, who's the host of the podcast, but by as a community, because each of us has a part to play.
Yeah. I hear that. As you're speaking, a scripture just came to my mind, and it says, one can put 1,000 to flight and two can put 10,000. So I hear you in that there's strength in numbers, there's strength in community. And to get through and get past the hurdles that we're going through as young people, we do need to stick together.
Yeah.
So let's go to the podcast. There was a previous series. How long ago was that? And what was that about? Yeah.
Wow. When I look at it, I can't remember the last time I recorded. It's, I'd say maybe even a year ago, to be honest. What was it about? First of all, I'd like to actually thank you for joining the Just It is a Blessing team, because that was a very random episode. It had no structure, it had no flow. It still had the same meaning for teach, inspire, motivate, and educate people through the art of storytelling, but it was really randomized. Yeah.
Okay, when you say randomized, what do you mean? So you had a couple of guests.
Yeah.
Maybe what were the conversations about? What were you trying to achieve by speaking to them?
I was still trying to achieve the same thing, to teach, inspire, motivate, and educate people through the art of storytelling. Though it was like really random, structured, and not very intentional. You know, like I just pick up, I'm like, oh shoot, I need to shoot an episode. Who can I call? You know, so there was that part of it. Yes, there's effects and we had good conversations, but I feel like it's about time to make this more intentional. You know, do a little bit more research, you know. And I think also that's the bad thing sometimes when you're working by yourself, because of course I had an editing and shooting team, but that's all they did. And, you know, at least now I'm happy that you're on board to at least structure that. You know, sometimes, you know, how we were laughing that if a man ran this studio, they'd lack a little bit more structure, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I see. Okay. So maybe let's speak about, why did you take a break? Why did you stop? What happened?
I think a lot of factors led me to taking a break when I look at it. Let me say, number one, I was doing a lot of out of town projects. So of course now, once you miss one, you know, you miss two, you miss three, but that's just a bad excuse. I should have just recorded more content and then had that published over time. The second thing was the current space that I had kept on increasing fees and not offering me anything additionally. So it got to a point when I was doing cost benefit analysis. Yeah, that was it. And then you just keep on lying to yourself, oh, I'll go back next month, I'll go back next month, I'll go back next month. And then I sat down to try and reach out to studios, which was not too successfully. And then, but now we're in this studio, so thank God for that. Shout out to Tiffany from Voicebox and her team, because that is a prayer answered for me.
Amazing. Yeah. We're here to get the tea, you know, the real. So
Come on.
Any personal reason as to why you stopped? Because yes, the lack of consistency, so you stopped shooting. But
Yeah. I don't think there's any personal reason that really stopped me from shooting, because like I tell a lot of people, this is the one place I feel alive. This is the one place I really feel like me, like Tupac.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it was just those excuses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's really anything personal that really stopped me from recording. It was just, of course, I stopped recording, and then, you know, but also I think maybe the lack of accountability. I had no accountability partner, you know. So there was no one telling me, hey, by the way, you know, you haven't shot in 2 weeks. People expect you to shoot, you know, and that's why I'm happy. Yeah, you know, because sometimes, you know, when you don't have an accountability partner, you run away from a lot of things that you know you need to do and you want to do, but you just don't do.
Yeah. Okay. as you're speaking, I was just thinking, maybe why do you feel like your voice, why do you feel like you have something to say to the people who are suffering? So I know a lot of people would maybe cower away from having these conversations, things like imposter syndrome and the like, but why do you feel you have a place, we've taken up this space rather, to share?
Like I said, I don't think I just have a voice. And like I said, I hope 10 years from now, 20 years from now, someone else is hosting Just to Kick It Is a Blessing. I hope there's another person hosting Just to Kick It Is a Blessing, Uganda. I hope someone else can start one in Tanzania. I hope someone else can start one in America. Like I said, I want to build a community of like-minded people who are there to, teach, inspire, motivate, and educate. Because, like you said, we are the future of the country and the world. But some of us are going through such hard time. So we just need that place that we can call home, that community of like-minded people. And I'm just here to inspire at least one more person to take the mantle to the next thing, I've always thought about starting Just to Kick It Is a Blessing alternate segment where other people can come and host other people and share like-minded stories, because I know I can't do it all. Yeah.
Okay, I see. Again, thank you for being the person to take that up for this generation. Before we move on to this new series, let's hear some testimonials, maybe some feedback you would get from the old series or seasons. What would keep you going? Yeah.
I think one of the reasons why I also came back, or why I decided to come back and do the thing, is because a lot of people I meet out or wherever, they just ask me, why did you stop? Why did you stop? I get random DMs on my Instagram asking me, why did you stop Just to Kick It Is a Blessing? The content you used to share really spoke to me. And, I have people who call me, there's one uncle of mine who really watches it, because it's like, he feels like the conversations we had is a way for him to understand how to bring up his kids, because he's a young father and everything. And he was like, you have really insightful conversations and everything. But yeah, I think, it was about time to come back. There's one of my friends I spoke to the other day, and she was really going through a hard time. And she was like, I think, Tupac, you just really need to go back, because when I used to listen to your things, I used to find a bit of, positivity and everything. So I think there's an effect that we have. And I keep on telling people, like, there's amazing people I meet out there that have amazing stories, crazy, crazy stories that have them, the power to change hundreds of people, not just here, but across the world. And I keep on telling them, just share. There's that one person that you can change their life forever.
Okay. So you spoke at the beginning, you introduced yourself as a Christian. During this break, have you been more intentional about your faith? Does that have anything to do with you coming back? Maybe speak a bit about that.
I think for me, I have seen, I've noticed, and I have seen a lot of God's favor in my life. There's things that I'd have never seen that have happened. And even the fact that I'm here speaking, because also that's my story with God. Like, he really knows what I went through. But yeah, I've seen that. I've been trying to go to church more often, I just, the other day my friend came to my office and he's like, bro, you do work while you're listening to Christian music. And I'm like, there's a way it makes me so peaceful, it's weird, yeah. And I know a lot of people might watch this and be like, bro, the music he listens to going to the club is so different. But like, what I'd say for people out there is, your relationship with God, first of all, is important. And it's you two. It doesn't matter how the relationship looks like. Yeah. Just like any other relationship, it's between two people. It's not between you, God, and your mom or dad, you, God, and your best friend, you, God, and your girlfriend, whoever it is. Yeah. It's between two people. So have it the best way you can, because, and also people are like, oh, but you still do this and you still do that and you still do this. But like, it's my relationship with, like, God. And it's not that I'm not trying to work on those aspects of my life because even me, some of those things I know I need to change. And I'm able to change for like a month, but then I end up backsliding into some of those things, But, like, yeah.
And when you backslide, have you like sat down to ask yourself why?
It's bad because there's a time I did something I shouldn't have done, and I was in my room for like 3 days. My dad even had to come and check and ask me, like, are you okay? Like, you've not left your room literally for like 3 days. Is everything okay? So it's bad. Like, it is bad. But like I said, don't be too hard on yourself. As long as you're working and you know what you want, And then also the good thing is, I think I've met also a lot of younger Christians, who are actually inspiring, like also like you, because also I think like before, the people I used to chill with, I don't like, we're Christians, but like we're not like, like you guys, like, but like not to judge anyone or anything. Like, we're Christians, we'll pray and everything, but we don't go to church and everything. So I think like the more you also meet like-minded people, it's fine. And I think I also want to tell people like your faith journey is also your unique journey by yourself, and I think also the older you get, because even me, I'm getting older by the day, you realize that you need God. Yeah, the cool Tupac who used to sit in the back of church just because he needed Sunday lunch. We used to go
after church
lunch. You'd guess restaurants and everything. Is different. At that time, I used to go to church for maybe the Sunday lunch and to not to fight with my parents. But these days when I go to church, I go alone. Like, okay, I'll go with a friend or someone, but I don't go with anyone in my family. We also all go to different churches. Yeah, so it's your own journey. But I'm also saying, like, if you're young, it's okay. Enjoy your life. It'll catch up to you, guys. Like, I'm not going to say that you need to have it now. Enjoy your life. It'll catch up to you, and you'll know the right time. Yeah.
Okay, it's interesting. I would love to go into that, but we can do that another time.
Yeah, that'll be so long. No, I'll have you a couple of times,
Wow. Anyways, moving on back to the podcast. We are here now.
Yeah.
Starting off a new season, a new series. Why?
Hi. Why are we here? Even before I start with why we're here, first of all, I just want to, thank God that I've come across a wonderful team that I believe can take this Just to Kick It is a vision community to the next level, starting with you and the team at VoiceBox led by Tiff, But why are we here? So when I don't record the podcast, I feel like, or when I'm not in the studio, I feel like there's a part of me that's missing. So I feel like there's a calling towards this and, sitting here and having conversations with people that teach, inspire, motivate, and educate people, So I felt like part of me or a part of me was, wasn't there, wasn't missing. I didn't feel very complete, And I told you that earlier, that whenever I'm in the studio, I feel like I'm at home, I feel like I'm the best version of myself. But again, away from me, it's more about people, like I said, and community. And it's for all the people who have said, please, could you come back? We enjoyed the content you used to make. For the people that, oh my God, Tupac, your content or that story that person shared really resonated with me. So that is why I'm back, and this time the goal is to be more purposeful, more intentional about the people I have, the conversations that we have, because I think also during the break, I realized the power that just this thing that I thought was a joke has,
Okay, so you're speaking about the people, the intentionality. Let's go into the purpose. What is this series supposed to be about? Who is your ideal audience? What kind of things are you trying to tackle and why?
Well, I think for especially this new segment, I think like I shared with you, the previous segments have been very random, had no structure, was not very purposeful about a lot of things. But I think for this new segment, I really want to teach, inspire, motivate, and educate young people, but especially young men. You know,
Okay.
I want to create, I know they say men shouldn't be vulnerable, men should be strong and all those things, but I want to create a space and a community, and not just for men. The women can be also part of the community because we know, but I want to create a space and a community, especially for young men to feel, comfortable in whatever that they're going through and realize that there's a better day, and to realize just to kick it is a blessing.
Why the men?
I think the men are in trouble, unfortunate to say. The other day I was just having a reflection and I was like, wow, how is it that I put a job position out there and I was biased. I really wanted to take a man because, I already feel like men are really struggling. And the applications I got were ridiculous. When I did the interviews the other day, there's no man in the room. First of all, I only received 5. I received like maybe about 40 to 50 applications. I think less than 7 were men.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And out of the men, the applications that I received, none of them were, up to par. So I kind of feel like there's a real disconnect there. And I think that the boy child is really suffering. And if the boy child suffers, then families are going to suffer because if there's no man to lead the house, what happens to our family?
That's true.
So I feel like over the years, we've really concentrated on the girl child. We have all these spaces for girl child. We have girl child this, girl child that. We have in parliament 2/3, 1/3 or something. We have all these rules. But, these rules, as much as they're really good, I think they made the boy child struggle, because I attend a lot of meetings with my dad and our conversation in the car is always the same. Did you see the proportion of women to men in the boardroom? And we're like, what is happening to, the boy child? So I think it's about time that, we address that issue. And I'm actually also just going to ask you, because you really also pushed me into bringing back the podcast back, especially with that angle. But what does it also mean to you? I know you're the host today, but it's natural for me to ask questions.
Yeah. I think for me, you spoke about family.
Yeah.
I think for me, that's really where I'm coming from. Family is the foundation of society. Everything begins at home. Where you're brought up, how you're brought up, what you see around you has a big part to play in the person you turn out to be. And so if at home, the role of a woman and a man are not cemented in the way God expected or wanted them to be, then how you show up in society will also be skewed. And so then who was listening? I think it was Vusi, and he was just talking about how the government comes up with laws and regulations to police people in society, but the issues that they're dealing with are issues that began at home.
Wow.
So if we can sort out this issue from home, from the foundation, society is a better place. If the role of a man and the role of a woman are clearly defined, then we can all play our parts in ensuring that, I guess, the end goal is God's kingdom be brought on earth. And so I think for me, it's hard because you said earlier, I transitioned not too long ago, but as I'm stepping into these new spaces where I'm doing things that have meaning and have purpose, be it church, be it different forums that I'm stepping into or being invited to speak in, it's just me and a bunch of women. There's like 1 or 2 men. And so even with us, we're trying to then build families, maybe sooner in the future. Who are we going to be building families with? Are we going to continue the trend of us like single households, which also, they work because there's grace. God gives grace and he can turn things around, but that's not the standard. So how can we start to have conversations that can bring up and out the issues that men are facing so that we can raise the men for the women that are currently out there? Because as you said, there's been so much focus on the girl child, meaning that we've been in forums and conversations and things about how we should be, what it means to be a woman and all of that. But then you get out there and you're like, where's the man to complement that? Because it's a duality. It's not one person. It's not either or. So for me, that's where I'm coming from. And I think that's why I really pushed you to get up until this point. But I'd like us to speak a bit about some of the issues that you see from where you sit that maybe the men are facing that you'd like to explore?
Well,
podcast,
yeah. First of all, like, I think we can talk forever about that issue. You and I, we have had many meetings about that in preparation to relaunch and everything. But what I'd say is you're right, and I've seen it, and I continue to see it. But what I look at is some of the issues is just basically off the top of my mind. I'll think about relationships. Relationships, I think, as men, were really struggling.
You mean relationships, men with other men?
Relationships,
like friendships,
yeah. Relationships, as even with partners, just relationships in general, relationships with siblings. So relationships in its own has a lot that the man is struggling with. And we're looking to have different guests, maybe siblings, a couple, just to share that. Even the relationship between a man and his father, or the father figure in his life, which I think is very important. Like, I sit here today knowing that, or speaking the words, because my dad is really, really, really involved in my life, and I've had tough conversations with him. Yeah. I know you'll be happy for me to say this, but where we've both cried, and
I am happy.
Yeah. And where we've, where we've both raised our issues and, forgiven each other. Yeah. Or some of the things that I've held for a long time in my heart because of him, which I'm happy to have. And a lot of men are also, or a lot of young men are also holding a lot of trauma. So that's another thing I want to speak about is trauma, because a lot of young men don't even know what they're dealing with, but that stuff has stemmed down generations. So it's, you need to sit down and address that and just try and spark conversations that make people want to actually understand what is it that they're going through. Yeah. Another one I think is finances. As men, I don't think we do as good as women with money. And it's such a sad thing because a man is his money, unfortunately.
We can debate.
Yeah, we can debate that, but
I hear. What do you mean as well with the money?
What you have as a man determines you a lot. Yeah. And the other day I posted a video of a sheikh that was not a sheikh, but a Muslim man that was speaking, and he was like, women are born on the top of the mountain, and their goal is to preserve their valley. Men are born on the valleys below, and is to build up their valley. You get? So your value as a man, which sadly society looks at this day as money, determines a lot. So yeah, so yeah, finances as well is another thing. Family business. I think family business is something important. I'd like to talk about. So yeah, I think definitely also faith. Yeah, men in faith, because how that looks like. I'm seeing a lot of girls these days really becoming Christians and, changing that part of their lives, but I'm still seeing men struggling. So I think it's an important conversation to come. Marriage, a lot of people are reaching now the age of marriage and everything. So I think that's also another one. Yeah, but, in all those spaces, or all those topics I've talked about, I really see men struggle, Just the same way in church I go, well, we're countable number of men. It's the women, So, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm excited. Yeah. Can we get a sneak peek into some people that you might be having conversations with?
Well, a sneak peek into some people that I'd like to have conversations with. I'd like to have a conversation, first of all, with a wonderful gentleman called Muli. I think Muli's life has really taken a change. And that I'd definitely like you now on this other side, because I know your story, and I think you have a wonderful story to tell that can inspire both men and women. I'd like to have a heart-on-heart conversation with my dad. I think it can trigger a lot of conversations for parents to now have with kids. I'd like to have one with a gentleman called David Masharia. I'd like to have, there's a couple of people. There's also another guy called Money Clinic. That's his TikTok name, but he's called Amos, I think, if I'm not wrong. I'd like to have a conversation with him. But yeah, I think as we start and as we go, there'll be a lot of other interesting people that I'd plan to, bring on board. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I think I'd just like to know your audience then, and the audience that maybe you're hoping to attract now. They're the same? Are they different? Are you hoping that audience is changed?
I think the audience is the same. I don't think they're different. What I just hope is that more men can start to listen to podcasts. What I hope is that more men will listen, because I have my figures, I have the statistics, and it was the women that were listening. And shout out to them because they support and everything. But I'd love if it's reached a 50-50, men and women. And maybe one day even went higher, because like I said, this conversation's a lot for men, Yeah.
Okay. So what's the desired impact? From what I'm hearing you would like more conversations to be had around the different areas that you've spoken about. So family, marriage. Is it to spark conversations? Is it to solve the problem like holistically? Like what exactly? Where would you say you'll get to and you're like, I think I'm doing what I set out to do?
Yeah. For me, what do I think? I think I can't cause. I think change is hard to maybe happen, but we can spark the conversations that influence the change. Yeah. We might not start a fire, but we can cause the sparks that eventually turn into a fire. Like we said, we're trying to build a community. Yeah, how Just to Kick It is a blessing in other countries, hosted by like-minded individuals who want the best for their generation. Yes, so I think that's the goal, to have enough conversation sparked, But I think one way that we all know, because again, it's not just me, or we all know that there's been an effect, is if we see the number of young men and boys taking their lives drastically reduce. Then we'll know as a community, we have done something. As a generation, we have done something.
Okay. So you like the spark.
Yes.
What does it take as a community to fan it, to turn it into a fire?
That's a good question. I think what it takes as a community to turn this into a fire is to now go out there and have the conversations, so that now it makes more sparks, So when I have the conversation, maybe let's say with you, you're going to have it with someone else and someone else and someone else. And then the people who have it or listen to it, whatever means, or watch it, they continue now having those conversations, and they continue asking each other, hard questions, The other day was, not too long ago, was Father's Day. And my dad sat us down and asked us questions about him being a father. And me, I answered honestly, And he was like, why don't you send this to some of your friends? I said, hey, bro, like, I know them, they're not going to have this conversation. It's just be a waste of a conversation for me to have with them. But it'd be good if once I also have him on the show, that those conversations can be had, because, the relationship between a father and a child, especially for those people who are fortunate to have their fathers in their lives, is very important. It really puts a man in. There's so much into it. And like you said, also God's blessing and favor into such a relationship.
You said something about it would be a waste of a conversation. I just have to say I strongly disagree.
A waste of a conversation?
When your dad asked you to share the questions with other people, I have to strongly disagree.
Yeah, he had listed a couple of names, but I need to be a bit tricky, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
But doesn't it take you to start?
Yeah, it does. And that's why I hope when I have him here, because weirdly, the journal that I did, my dad has written more pages than me. That's crazy.
Oh, wow.
I thought because I'm the creator of it, like I should have written the most pages. But hey, my dad's is me. Dad's is really written, not that I'm going through it, I haven't read. I know. I haven't read. I just see. But I'm just waiting for who's your favorite family member question to come, then I can read.
Which days is that?
I don't know.
Tell us a bit about your journey.
I know it's somewhere there.
Briefly.
Also, I'm happy that I stopped the podcast because I don't think without the if I continue the podcast, I'd have had the vision for the journal. And I've been journaling a lot. And, I think that's something that's been able to keep me sane. Writing my thoughts, writing my feelings, writing how certain events made me feel has helped me, stay in check. I don't know without journaling where I'd be, But yeah, weirdly, I just got a vision to create a journal with questions every day and a quote at the bottom, which I created. We thought we'd only sell about 50, ended up selling more than 200 and something and giving out another 30, so thank God as well for that. But yeah, we sat in an office. Thank you, Ali, for letting me sit in your office and doing this work. But yeah, I sat there with Zina, who created half of those things, And she's like, now this thing that you're making us do, Tupac, why are we doing it? I told her, you just do it. Don't worry. We'll see along the way. And yeah, and to go back to also to the journal, I just want to tell anyone that's thinking about starting something, please start, because if you see the first version of the journal to what we have now and to what we are going to produce next year, it's like, it's a big difference. And I think there's a famous person that says, if you're not embarrassed about the first product or service you do, then you should be ashamed, because everyone is embarrassed. Look at the first iPhone. Look at the first Toyota. Progress. So you have to start somewhere. So anyone that's thinking about starting something there, please start. Don't worry make sure it's not that bad, but just start, please. Yeah, you'll go along the way, Yeah, even, and ask your friends who really genuinely care about you, and listen to them without being too biased. Sometimes I feel as creators of something, it's hard for your mind to be changed, But the moment you actually listen without being biased, you learn something. So listen with an open mind, Yeah. I'm not too good at listening to my dad, so it had to take my auntie to tell me change a few things on the journal and friends and family. Yeah. But I'm happy about the effect the journal has had. I have random days where a friend calls me like, today's question and quote has really spoken to me. Or did you write this question for me? Because, I've really reflected and it's exactly what I'm going through at the moment. So yeah. And that's why I say I see God's favor in my life, because I never thought I'd do a journal. I knew I was always going to do merchandise, but I never thought of a journal, I've always been thinking about a book instead.
Yeah. Amazing. More personally, what does journaling do for you?
Well, I think journaling is the moment you talk about something, you've dealt with it. You get? So the moment I write about it, I feel like I've dealt with it. And sometimes it gets to a point where I write on a piece of paper and then burn the paper. And I feel like there's some emotion that it lets go,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the more you keep in things, and the more you bottle up things, one day you'll explode. So journaling helps me release the pressure from my life, Yeah, that's exactly what it does for me.
Okay.
What does it do for you? Because I know you journal a lot as well.
I use your journal. You'd be happy to know.
Thank you.
I think similarly to you, for me, journaling is it's an outlet. It's just somewhere where I can go put my thoughts and be sure that no one's going to hear them or read them. And it's there, I release it from my system. So it's out of me. And so I don't have to go back. It's not something that I'm holding on to, keeping close to my heart. I was telling you about that class on vision. Yeah. And one of the biggest things that I know the Bible speaks about is guarding your heart against things like offense. When you have an argument with someone and you just keep the grudge, and it's because as the verse that says, out of your heart flow the issues of life. So if you carry so much in that space, your issues are many, and so everything that you're holding on to, you're carrying that baggage. When it remains within you, everything that you do, everything that comes out of you, comes out with the remnants of those issues. That's something I've been learning. And so when I journal, it's almost like I let go of them, so that when I come into a space like today, I'm fresh. I'm not bringing my burdens and my issues from yesterday or the day before, because I've cleared my mind and I've cleared my space. And so I can be a new and fresh person every day. So that's what journaling does for me.
Yeah. I like what you've said about the part for it clears your mind, it clears your heart, and it clears your soul. I used to have so much resentment within me. Yeah. Especially because of certain activities that, happened to me. And I just realized, I think it's the day that, I think it's Dr. Wayne Dyer that said it is like, resentment is like being bitten by a snake. Yes. It's not the bite that kills you. It's the poison that continues to run through your veins that kills you. You get? And that's what I kind of realized. I kind of realized I was already beaten, but I was continuously letting this venom run through my veins instead of just draining it out. So, and the moment that I listened to that and now started this path of saying, okay, it's my choice to heal. It's my choice to do 1, 2, 3. I began now to, to feel much better, to feel much lighter, and, to feel like these days, events or things that happen to me don't really affect me as much as they did, Yes, there's some things that will happen that will affect me, but not as, as much as they did. Yeah.
Okay. So guys, you can still get your journals, I think.
And I think now it's halfway through there. Yeah. Let them wait for the next one.
No, second half. You can come back.
Yeah. No, there's a blog that's linked to the journal, the QR code. I think they can find the question there and just a brief write up on the question and how to answer the question.
Okay. So you post this blog every day?
I try to do every day. I'm still looking for an accountability partner on that.
Okay. All right. So the blog. Yeah. All right. What can you commit to your audience for this new series? Yeah.
As you see, I struggle with commitments, and that's why I'm still single. But anyway, I like it. No, guys, come on, man. Like, we've had such serious conversations. Let's have some laughter with it. I feel like it's been too serious, but what can I commit? I can commit at least 3 months of constant content, very good content, very, conversations, and trying to build more communities. I can commit that there will be a journal part 2, better quality, more intentional, more purposeful. I can commit there'll also be some merchandise, and along the way we're praying for maybe some community event or just something
to bring the people together.
To just bring like-minded people together in one space. Maybe someone that's watching this out there, you have that space that we can use, and then it's just figures that play together. Like, I'm even just looking at it today, like all this, like I couldn't have seen it, like, and then also meeting you and then meeting Tiff and her team, like I couldn't. But yes, we can commit to at least 3 months of good quality podcasts every Tuesday or at I think 7 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. If you were to give this new series a name, what would you call it?
Yeah. You come with them hard questions. Wow. Oh, that's a tough question. What would I call this?
Or even a tagline.
A tagline. Yeah, what would I call this? I think I'd call it I don't have a specific name for it, but I'd call it maybe understanding. Yeah, so it gives people a chance to understand themselves, to know about themselves. If you look at the blog, the tagline there is know and love yourself more. Or yeah, something like that. Know and love yourself more. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm excited for the new episode.
Yes, and I'm excited as well. And to have a team that shares the same commitment, same vision for this brand, for this community and movement. Yeah.
It's very powerful being on this other side and just hearing you speak about this, and I think for me, what's just coming up is just purpose. And I think a lot of people are struggling because they don't really know what their purpose is, and they're trying to figure out what it is they're supposed to do. If you're to summarize your life and maybe what you perceive your purpose to be, what would that be?
Well, I think for my life, what did I say my life is? I think my purpose is a creator. So to create things that change life. I think that's my purpose as of now. But my purpose has been changing all the time. But I think as of now, I think my life is to be a creator. So to create things that teach, inspire, motivate, and educate, whether it's a business, whether it's a podcast, whatever it is. Yeah.
It's interesting you say that because the purpose is the big thing.
Yeah.
But then the podcast, the journal, the businesses are just avenues through which you are expressing that big thing. I think it's just a message to people who feel like they need to be tied down to one thing. No, it's you can express yourself and what it is you're here to do in many different ways and avenues. And as he said, just start, and see what happens. I think lastly, I'd just like to know anybody who is hearing you and wants to get in touch with you and maybe would like to have conversations, how can they reach you or this community?
Well, I think, like I said, my social media is very, very open to anyone and everyone. You can reach out to me there and I will make an effort to reply to, the things that need to be replied to. Yeah, I think for now you can reach out to me on social media. Yeah, I think that's the best place to be. And that's where people have always reached out to me. And yeah, for people that listen and enjoy the content, just, like comment, subscribe, and all those things, because the more we build, the better this becomes, the bigger this becomes, And it actually shows that we are building a community, we are growing, There's nothing worse than for a creator or something to feel like they're not growing, to feel like life is stagnant. So, yes, support as much as you can, go and have these conversations with someone as well, yeah, because we are going to have conversations that at least each of us knows someone needs, So go and share it with them, don't only just share the jokes or share the comical things, to your friends. Share things that motivate them. And you see, that's also one thing I like about you is you actually share a lot of stuff that I watch and I'm like, wow, this is quite inspiring. Or someone learns something.
Okay. But we'll have the events. You said there'll be some events.
Yeah, we look to have something.
Yeah.
Yeah, to something out there, now that we've seen that this is way bigger than the two of us, the team here as well, as we see and as we focus on how to try and build a community. Yeah.
Okay. Any last words to the person on the other side?
Possibly for you, any last words?
I'll wrap up after you.
Okay. Wow, any last words? I don't think I have any last words, but just to say, how grateful I am for the team, for you, for the people who have stayed true to Just to Kick It Is a Blessing, the people who have stuck by the community, the people who continue to listen even without me posting, the people that share. Like, I'm honestly very grateful. I think also I just want to say that, yeah, guys, we've seen the power of communities and we've seen the power of togetherness. We can really do a lot when we come together. We can really change the world. We can really change history. We can move the world. So let's come together and, let's sort out this, problems that we're facing. Let's address these issues. Let's have conversations around them. And I think finally to my fellow men out there, like, yes, life does get tough, will get tough, but you're tougher than those moments, And I sit here, not standing, but I sit here as a testament to that, And if you go and listen to my TED Talks, it really digs deep down to what I really went through. Like I couldn't also share everything because but it just shows you that things do get better. Yeah.
Wow. So my last word.
Yes. And thank you so much for being an amazing host. And yeah.
You're most welcome. I think the last thing I would say is just in line with what you've been saying, just start.
Yeah.
I think sitting here, looking at you on the other side, and seeing this actually come to life after all the conversations. If it's just for that one person who watches this and decides to make a different choice, have a different conversation that changes the trajectory of their lives, it would have been enough, And so for anyone who you have that idea, that vision, that thing that you think you want to start because of an issue you're trying to solve in our community, in our generations, just start. I was telling Tupac the other day, when you get a vision or an idea, something I learned with is God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. And so when you do get that idea, take that first step and everything kind of begins to fall into place. I mean, when you made the decision about wanting to kind of be serious, I think that was around the time we met, and then now that turned into having ongoing conversations, meeting new people, and then developing this new, structure.
Yeah.
And so it's just take that first step and you'll be surprised how things fall in place. So that I think that would be my parting shot, and just to say, just go for it. Really and truly, however crazy it may seem, just go for it. And it's that one person's life that will be changed that makes it all worthwhile. And thank you for the opportunity to host today. I have learned so much that I didn't know. I thought I've spent enough time with you, but clearly not. But it's been lovely to just hear from you and hear what you have to say to the people. I'm excited to see where this series goes. And I'm also very honored to be a part of the team.
Thank you so much. To all of you listening from home, I really appreciate you taking your time to listen, to learn. I hope you've been inspired. I hope you've learned something. I hope you've been motivated. Thank you so much, and do have a wonderful week ahead of you. And remember, no matter what you go through, no matter where you are, just to kick it is a blessing. Goodbye. It's a brand new day. If a hater come, we are let him stay. If a demon come for the boomer, yeah, singing no weapon forming against me shall prosper.